What's up, everybody? Welcome back to your favorite New York Jets subscription podcast, Badlands. I'm your host, Joe Caporoso, joined as always by Connor Rogers. Just like that, we're back. Just like that, the New York Jets have another game again very, very soon. We're going to use tonight's podcast to put a bow on their win over the Titans, start to lightly preview Jets-Pats, but then if you want a longer preview of Jets-Pats and you want to hear us answer a gazillion very smart, thoughtful Discord questions, upgrade to War Room, and we'll have a whole other video on the feed tomorrow, along with a bunch of other content that will hit before kickoff. Connor, 1-1. How you doing? How you feeling?
Good. We'll see how it goes in 48 hours or so, but a huge win, a little bit of a more walking on eggshells win, I think, than, everybody was ready for. But that's kind of the NFL right now when you go around and just look at how the games have gone across the board. And it makes for a really, in a way, predictable yet unpredictable Thursday night, because the Patriots are a team with one of the more clear identities in the NFL in my eyes from the prep I've been doing. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that they're, a layup to stop in what they do. And we'll get into some of that. So, and what kind of Jets team is going to come out, because we saw this team get run over against the Niners. I thought they were way more competitive against the run against Tennessee. And it's not just that Tennessee is a weaker opponent than the 49ers. I thought just some players played better. It was as simple as that. There looked to be an effort to really play heavier up front. So they get that test all over again and more against a New England team that is so boring in so many ways, but that does not mean they're terrible. I think that's important to note. They're playing hard. They want to be a tough team. They want to be a punch you in the mouth team. They're not really going to throw a lot of surprises at you. But in my personal opinion, and obviously the books agree with the Jets being 6.5-point favorites, I think that line's a little big in my opinion. But this is a game at home that the Jets should not only be feeding off the energy, but they should take care of their business in this one.
Yeah, I'll go longer on it in War Room and in the 12-pack Thursday, but I don't want to overcomplicate this. They should win this game. The Patriots, I understand they're tough. I understand they played tough the first 2 weeks. They seem to be well coached. Their offense is Ramondre Stevenson getting 30 touches and Hunter Henry getting 10 targets. The Jets should be able to stop that. Even with their injuries, they should be able to scheme around that. They have the personnel to slow it down. And, for all the complaints about the Titans game, we spent all week saying, load up the box, slow down the run, make Will Levis beat you, and he won't. And that's exactly what they did.
They really did, right?
The Titans did not run all over them. They asked Will Levis to beat the Jets. He made 2 turnovers, and he couldn't finish the game-winning drive, and the Jets won. And I think as a couple more days pass, you feel a little better about everything. I think particularly on offense, when you look at where the Jets are sitting league-wide ranking-wise offensively, I think they're top 10 in EPA per play. You look at how much offenses have struggled around the league with everyone playing the shell and too high, and people are not racking up tons of yards and tons of points. Look at the Chiefs-Bengals game.
It's an
look at the Texans. Yeah, look at the Texans-Bears game. Even look at the Eagles-Falcons game last night. It's a lot of ugly football out there. And the Jets, they scored 3 offensive touchdowns in back-to-back games. And what I like is that their offense is very clearly just scratching the surface. Not from a play call. I mean, they should get better from a play calling standpoint. And shout out to Zach for digging and finding out that it's Rodgers who listens to Badlands, not Hackett. Hackett did not want the 2-back set. Rodgers overruled him and said we should do the 2-back set.
Is that right?
That is right. And here we are. It worked. So hopefully once a week, Rodgers will convince Hackett to do something smart that helps improve the offense.
Yeah, does that make you feel better? Because that doesn't...
It kind of makes you feel worse, honestly.
It does, but it also shows the power structure of the offense.
Good
right?
Lord,
it's the best thing they've done
in Hackett's tenure. And it wasn't even his idea.
Definitely Hackett's tenure. I'm trying to think. It's the best thing they've done, and I don't really have an answer. Since LaFleur was really coming up with some absolute mayhem.
Laterals every 6 plays.
Yeah, the cocaine play. Yeah, that one.
Just launching it across the field. I mean, look, AR is going to shake off more rust. AVT is going to shake off more rust. Mike Williams is going to shake off more rust. I think I like to see them find ways to get guys like Corley and Davis involved a little more. We know the top 3 options on the offense in whatever order are going to be Breece, Garrett, and Braylon Allen at this point. Mike Williams should be able to become that 4th guy. After that, I'm not sold it's Gibson. I'm not sold it's Ruckert. It should be Conklin. Yet to see it. So do we get a little more Corley? Do we get a little Isaiah Davis mixed in just for a different look, even as a pass catcher? How do they keep diversifying? And does Rodgers start taking a couple more shots down the field? I think Garrett Wilson's been fine, but he hasn't had that big play yet down the field. He's 60, 70 yards a game. He's working well in the intermediate short game. When do they get one over the top? And Rodgers, I feel like, had a couple opportunities and maybe was a little gun shy. Hopefully he starts to let it loose a little bit. And defensively, I don't think they're far from perfect. They're very banged up. We're due for some of this defensive regression. This is the perfect opponent when you're having defensive regression and injuries on a short week because they're just so limited and simple in what they do. So I'm feeling better than I was on Sunday. And I thought we were pretty upbeat on Sunday because we know how hard it is to win. You just look around the league and how offenses look and how hard it is to get wins. It's hard to complain about the Jets beating a conference team on a short week on the road. Now they got to put a bow on it by winning this game. They need to be 2-1 going into the Bo Nix experience. But I feel pretty good. And I just think, what's the next step now for this offense? They got through step one, which is we need to play mini young Derrick Henry and we need 2 back sets. What's step 2 for this offense to keep evolving and now score 4 touchdowns a game instead of 3 touchdowns a game? Because if they can start scoring 28 or 30 points, they're going to win a lot of football games.
I think it's the timeline of how they play and really the rhythm of the game. And what I mean by that is the Jets need to kind of dictate the flow of the game because that's going to significantly aid their defense. And they haven't been able to do that in the first 2 halves they've played this season. If you could do that against New England, especially, I don't think they're a good pass protecting team. And I think it allows your defense to play as light as you want and kind of force them to do something they don't want to do, and that's throw to their wide receivers. They just don't throw to their wide receivers.
Who are their wide receivers again? Can we name them?
I mean, Jalen Polk is a rookie, and he might be their best wide receiver. It's really crazy. Obviously, they throw to Hunter Henry a lot.
Antonio Gibson
and Ramondre Stevenson get the ball a lot out of the backfield, and they're even handing the ball to Gibson, not just throwing to him. New England is a team, like, put into this kind of context. They have had 130 offensive snaps this year. They've used a 6th offensive lineman on 26 of them. They're playing football like it's 1980.
Reminds me of eligible Olu. Maybe we should start getting that mix.
Right. It's something I've been dreaming of. I don't know if I want it at a 26 out of the 130 snaps. I mean, that's a wild rate. And obviously they run the ball most of the time on that. They don't care if you know that they're going to run the ball. They really challenge. Things that concern me is they challenge the corners to really get involved against the run. Like Sauce is going to have to tackle in this game. Eccles and Tony Adams are going to have to tackle in this game, or obviously DJ Reed if he plays. Kind of brings me to another point. I'm not saying it's a layup the Jets win. I don't believe that. I don't think the Jets are in a position specifically in this game that I need to push DJ Reed and CJ Mosley through injuries. Maybe Mosley more than Reed, but quite honestly, and it's such a small sample size, there's not much to take away from this, but I thought Quincy, when he had to shift inside last week when CJ came off the field, looked better, where the foot speed is just so different for Quincy. And Sherwood was really good when he had to be on the field a lot. So if CJ's on a pitch count where it's like, hey, CJ, you're going to play, say, inside the 10-yard line, you're always on the field. And then we're probably going to put you on the field when the drive starts. But I would, if he can play, I would rotate him like crazy. You could use him in this game. If Reed needs another week, give Reed the extra week because Eccles 1 is fine. I don't even, dare I say, I don't know if there's a jarring downgrade, but that's a combo for a different day.
Yeah.
They don't throw to their wide receivers. So why are you going to have Reed potentially extend this injury? That's a big thing for me. I know Michael Carter is playing with an ankle, and that's a situation that he just needs time, and he's not going to get that time right now. He'll get the time on the mini bye of the 10 days, and hopefully he's okay. New England, they're just not a fun team offensively. They're going to run at you. They play 2 personnel packages, literally. They run 12 personnel 39% of the time. That's the second most in the league. The only team that runs 12 personnel, 1 back, 2 tight ends more than them is the Ravens, which shouldn't surprise anyone because Isaiah Likely is one of the Ravens' premier weapons, their second tight end. New England is running 12 personnel, the second most in the league. So, and then they run 11 like everyone else. That's it. They really don't do anything that you're like, ooh, whoa, like it's a sixth offensive lineman a lot. It's a lot of 12 personnel. They're going to run the ball out of 12 personnel almost 60% of the time. But you better, bring your big boy pants and be ready to stop it. And that's easier said than done when you could be down Mosley. You're down Jermaine Johnson. Lucky Fotu is still on the IR. It's going to be a lot of Kinlaw, a lot of Quinnen. Shout out to Solomon Thomas, who I thought played well last week. And I've been hard on Solomon Thomas, but I'm really kind of liking the idea of him playing end until they kind of figure that situation out with Jermaine out. And if Solomon can play a little bit more end on early downs rather than sticking Solomon Thomas at shade nose tackle, which is insane in the first place, and just let Jalen Holmes take those shade nose tackle snaps when Kinlaw needs a breather. So it's just not a very unpredictable game. It's a game that the Jets have to take care of business. If they go out and play their game, and I went way around your question, but to come all the way back to it, if the offense dictates the flow of the game by coming out in a throw script, right? I don't want them to get away from the run, but I think you can use this short area pass game as an extension of the run. That's when I say throw script. Come out throwing. And if that's throwing to Brees and Braylon in between throwing to Garrett Wilson and Conklin and Mike Williams, that's okay. But find a way to get an early touchdown that it's not that New England's going to abandon the run in the first half if you take a lead, but it allows them to play a little bit out of their comfort zone at some point. And it plays to your comfort zone because you know who looked really damn good when the Jets had a lead last week? Will McDonald looked really, really good. So it's a trickle effect, and the Jets haven't been able to do that in 2 weeks. They're 1-1, so it's okay. But I want to see this team playing their script of football and their pace of game football.
Yeah, find a way to call two plays in the huddle. Find a way to give Rodgers, the ability to just make more decisions at the line. I understand sometimes he likes to work late in the clock. This is a game. If you get up 10-0, the game's over. I'm sorry. If the Jets get up 10-0 in this game, New England is not built to come back from a 10-0 lead. Brissett can't move in the pocket. They don't have the receivers to do it. Play aggressive early. The crowd's going to be going nuts. Hopefully the weather holds. It rains at every Jets game, so I'm assuming it's going to rain. But hopefully it doesn't. And, go down the field and get up 7-0, get up 10-0, and play in front, because this is the kind of team you want to play in front from.
And then the crowd's in it, by the way.
Yeah, you don't want this game to be 6-6 at halftime. And then New England's confident. The crowd's nervous as hell. And, that's how New England's going to win games this year. They're probably going to win. They'll find their way to 6 or 7 wins this year because they're going to win ugly a bunch of times and play well on defense and be able to run the football. And, for the Jets on defense, I think it was a small sample size, but they needed the speed and the ball instincts of Eccles and Sherwood as like a breath of fresh air when they swapped in for Mosley and Reed. And it worked well. They need Mosley long-term. They need Reed long-term. You need depth. You need talent. But in this week, man, this is not a week to rush Reed back. Bluntly, it's not a week to play Michael Carter if you feel like he's hurt. Who is the Patriots slot corner? You should almost be – do you put Quincy on Hunter Henry and say, throw to somebody else, please? And could Eccles, Stiggers, and Sauce hold it down over
I might put
pass three wide is?
I might put Sauce on Hunter Henry a couple snaps.
Who else is getting down the field catching passes? This is not – they've won games with Tay Hayes and Craig James. If Michael Carter might be okay for the duration because you don't rush him back, and I'm not taking the Patriots lightly. I'm just trying to be smart about how they have their offense structured. And Sherwood is not Mosley, but could Sherwood hold the fort potentially? So Mosley's right for the Broncos game, the trip to London, and then really more importantly, the Buffalo game and the Pittsburgh game that's upcoming. It's not a crazy thought. And offensively, I just think Rodgers is going to get better and more comfortable every week. And he's going to be due for a pretty monster game soon. Now, New England's got a good defense, right? Gonzalez is good on the outside.
He'll trail Sauce.
He'll trail Garrett. And they're going to, if you're playing
Garrett,
the Jets,
not Sauce. You're
going to say, look, when they're throwing, nobody can get open except for Garrett Wilson. So maybe they're going to double Garrett Wilson, put Gonzalez around whoever else they think might be the option.
The old Belichick defense.
Yeah.
That's how Bill used to play with Revis.
Yeah, Conklin, Ruckert, Gibson. Are you guys going to get open and make plays? Good luck. That's one for the Jets. It's still going to be Brees. It's still going to be Braylon. And then could Rodgers be Rodgers and make some of those special sideline throws? If Mike Williams could go out and give them 4 for 60 this week, that adds a whole other dimension to their offense. That loosens Garrett up a little bit. And, Williams played a lot in that game. I think he was somewhere in the 20 to 30 snap range. He got 2 targets. Rodgers missed him on the deep dig route, which could have been a big play. Like, he got open. So if he can become a more consistent factor and the deep ball's going to him, not to Lazard on the deep post, I think I feel a little bit better about everything. And I also think a good thing that you called out in the post game that's came through a lot in the tape breakdowns we've seen is the offensive line has been really good and physical and nasty. And you know what I saw that I liked that I haven't seen in goddamn forever? And I'm sure this is the Rodgers effect. Like, when him and Simmons were chirping and when there was a roughing the passer, all the Jets offensive linemen were getting in the scrap and getting in the mix. There's no more just like